Have you ever had a moment where you suddenly realized that person you present to the world might not actually be you, but something you built to survive? Not to thrive, not to dream, but simply to endure. That realization can feel quiet and terrifying at the same time, like discovering that the house you've lived in for years was never truly yours. Most people sense this feeling at least once, but they push it away because it threatens everything familiar. Yet beneath that discomfort is a question that never fully disappears. If you could become someone else, would you recognize yourself along the way? From the outside, self-transformation looks clean and inspirational. People imagine a straight path from confusion to clarity, from weakness to strength, from insecurity to confidence. But the mind doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in contradictions. You can want change and fear it with equal intensity. You can crave freedom while clinging to the very habits that suffocate you. And the strangest part is that the brain often protects what hurts it, simply because pain is predictable. Familiar suffering feels safer than unfamiliar possibility. Think about how many choices you've made not because they felt true, but because they felt expected. Somewhere along the way, you learned which version of yourself earned approval, avoided conflict, or prevented rejection. That version slowly became your identity. Over time, you stopped noticing that it was a performance. You stopped asking what you actually wanted. The mind adapted so well that it convinced you the mask was your face. And the more years passed, the harder it became to imagine life without it. Self-transformation usually begins not with confidence, but with discomfort. It often starts when the old identity begins to crack under the weight of reality. You might feel restless for no clear reason. You might succeed externally while feeling empty internally. You might wake up one day and realize that your routines, relationships, and ambitions feel strangely foreign. This is the mind's alarm system. Not an alarm that screams, but one that whispers. Most people ignore whispers because they don't feel urgent enough. But whispers are often the beginning of irreversible change. There is a psychological tension that arises when who you are no longer matches who you pretend to be. The brain hates inconsistency, so it tries to resolve the tension in the easiest way possible. Sometimes it does this by rationalizing your life, telling you that dissatisfaction is normal, that dreams are childish, that change is unrealistic. Sometimes it numbs you with distractions, scrolling, work, noise, anything that prevents you from hearing your own thoughts. But no matter how cleverly the mind hides from itself, the tension doesn't disappear. It waits. What makes self-transformation so unsettling is that it forces you to confront something most people avoid their entire lives. The possibility that your personality is not fixed, your fears are not permanent, and your limitations are not as solid as they feel. That realization sounds empowering, but it's also destabilizing. If you can change, then the excuses you've relied on start to lose their power. If you can change, then staying the same becomes a choice rather than a fate. And choices carry responsibility, which the mind often finds more frightening than failure. Somewhere deep inside, you already sense that the story you tell yourself is incomplete. You feel flashes of a different self, usually in moments of honesty, solitude, or unexpected courage. But those flashes disappear quickly because they threaten the balance of your current identity. The brain treats them like dangerous anomalies. It whispers, "That's not you," even though a quieter voice replies, "Maybe it is." And in that silent argument, the first stage of transformation begins, not with action, but with doubt about the self you thought was real. The longer you stay in that state, the more you realize that self-transformation is not about adding something new to your life, but about dismantling something old. It is about questioning memories, beliefs, and emotional patterns that once protected you but now imprison you. It is about noticing how often you betray your own instincts to maintain comfort. And it is about confronting the uncomfortable truth that the person you've been may have been necessary once, but may no longer be enough. By the time you reach this awareness, something irreversible has already happened. You can no longer unsee the cracks in your identity. You can no longer fully believe the narrative that once felt stable. And even if you try to return to your old self, it will never feel as convincing as it did before. The mind stands at a strange crossroads, torn between the safety of familiarity and the terror of becoming someone unknown. Most people hover at this crossroads for years, quietly negotiating with themselves, afraid to move forward, but equally afraid to stay. And somewhere in that silence, a new question begins to form, one that is more dangerous than any fear you've ever had. What if the version of you that feels impossible is actually closer than you think? There is a moment in every real transformation when the mind stops arguing and starts listening. It doesn't happen in a heroic way. It happens in ordinary moments, when the distractions fade and your thoughts feel unusually clear. You start noticing patterns you once ignored. You see how certain emotions repeat themselves like loops. You recognize how your reactions were shaped by experiences you never fully processed. This awareness feels both intimate and unsettling, because it reveals that much of your personality was constructed by forces you didn't consciously choose. At first, this realization can feel like losing control. If your identity was shaped by circumstances, then who are you without them? The brain searches desperately for stable ground. It wants definitions, labels, and guarantees. But transformation rarely offers certainty. Instead, it offers questions. And questions have a way of dissolving illusions faster than answers ever could. As you begin to change, you notice an unexpected resistance from within. It doesn't come from logic, but from emotion. Parts of you that once kept you safe feel threatened by growth. Your fear of rejection may resist confidence. Your fear of failure may resist ambition. Your fear of loneliness may resist authenticity. These inner forces are not enemies, but they behave like guardians of the old self. They whisper that change is dangerous, that comfort is precious, that risk is foolish. And sometimes their arguments sound disturbingly reasonable. This is where self-transformation becomes psychologically brutal. You realize that the obstacle is not the world, not other people, not even circumstances. The obstacle is the invisible architecture of your mind. Every belief you hold about yourself acts like a boundary. Every memory carries emotional weight that influences your choices. Every identity you've worn becomes a script you feel compelled to follow. To change, you must rewrite scripts that once defined your survival. And rewriting them feels like betrayal, not only of others, but of your past self. There is also a strange loneliness in transformation. When you begin to shift internally, the world around you often stays the same. People still expect the old version of you. Conversations still follow familiar patterns. Social roles remain unchanged. You may feel like you are slowly waking up in a room where everyone else is still asleep. This creates an emotional gap that is hard to explain. You might feel misunderstood without knowing how to articulate why. You might feel closer to your true self while simultaneously feeling farther from everyone else. As the transformation deepens, you begin to notice something unsettling. The old fears don't vanish, they evolve. They become more subtle, more intellectual, more persuasive. Instead of saying, "You can't change," they say, "Why change now?" Instead of saying, "You're not capable," they say, "You're fine as you are." These thoughts feel gentle, even kind, but they serve the same purpose, preserving the familiar identity. The mind is remarkably skilled at protecting its comfort zones, even when those zones are suffocating. Yet, somewhere beneath the fear and resistance, a new sensation emerges. It is not confidence, not certainty, but clarity. You begin to see that self-transformation is not about becoming perfect or powerful. It is about becoming honest. Honest about what you feel, what you avoid, what you desire, and what you've been pretending not to want. This honesty can feel dangerous because it strips away excuses. It forces you to confront the difference between the life you live and the life you quietly imagine. The most unsettling part is realizing that no external event is required to change you. There is no dramatic turning point that guarantees transformation. There's only a series of small internal decisions, each one almost invisible. A decision to tell the truth instead of staying silent. A decision to walk away instead of staying comfortable. A decision to trust your intuition instead of doubting it. Each decision slightly alters your identity. And over time, these subtle shifts accumulate until the old version of you feels strangely distant, like a memory that belongs to someone else. Eventually, you reach a point where returning to your former self feels impossible, but fully embracing your new self feels uncertain. You exist in a psychological in-between state. It is uncomfortable, unstable, and strangely alive. You begin to understand that self-transformation is not a destination, but a permanent tension between who you were and who you are becoming. And in that tension, you sense something that is both liberating and terrifying. Your identity is not a fixed object, but a moving process. If you listen closely to your thoughts right now, you might notice a subtle shift. The questions you once avoided feel harder to ignore. The excuses you once believed feel thinner. The version of yourself you once defended feels less convincing. And maybe, just maybe, the idea that you could become someone radically different no longer feels impossible, but inevitable. Because once you see that your mind is capable of rewriting itself, you can never fully return to the comfort of believing you are finished. And the most unsettling realization of all is this: the person you are becoming is not waiting somewhere in the future. They are already here, watching quietly as you decide whether to keep pretending that nothing inside you has changed.